Yes, what is going on, my man? How you doing today?
Peoples. I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. All right, so we're just gonna roll into this. So, question number one, just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel for the people that don't know you.
All right, so I was active duty for 20 years. I retired out of McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. Originally, I'm from Texas. Did I say I was military? Air Force?
Yeah.
Okay, man. Look, it's going. Anyway, I'm from Texas originally, but I moved out here to Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, about 2.5, 3 years ago. Been loving life ever since, man. As far as the channel goes, the channel is about Indian motorcycles and my experience with Indian motorcycles, as well as a bunch of reviews and conversations that I have meeting people as I go around and things.
Okay, okay. We have a special guest that ended up coming in while you were talking. Be the boss of your motorcycles in here. Always good to see you. He says, "I I see Finesse got those kids out of there."
Yeah, normally the kids take over the office, man. I'm just renting space right now.
There you go. Ryan and Wrenchen also came in. Howdy, fellas. Well, howdy to you, sir. All right. So now we'll get into the second question. So, what got you into riding motorcycles, and how long have you been riding?
So I've been off and on since about 2003, riding motorcycles. Initially, what got me into I don't really know exactly what it was, but I remember at a young age I saw somebody go by on a motorcycle, and I was just like, wow. And after that, I've always had a fascination with them, whether I was drawing them, whether I was emulating them on my bicycle, whatever the case may be. So as soon as I got the chance to get one, my first bike was a Gixxer 750, man, and it just took off from there. And like I said, that was in 2003.
Okay. Oh, I got to bring it back in here. Wrong button, guys. Sorry, it's been a while. All right. So you've basically been riding on and off since 2003. And so, was there anybody in your family that really got you into motorcycles? You just saw it.
No, no, nobody in my family. I don't know if anybody in my family even rides outside of me. I know my cousin rides now. Initially, no one ever, from home. I just,
Okay.
I like speed,
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
which can be a problem. But yeah, man. I mean, just seeing those motorcycles and the things that people do on them, amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a trend here. I think like my past three guests, none of them had any real influence of getting a motorcycle. Nobody in their family rides. It's just something about motorcycles that draw people to them.
For sure.
And then a little side question. So what made you go from that Gigster over to a cruiser?
Well, I got tired of leaning over the fuel tank. Uh, hey, I was at a young age where I was trying to have kids, man. So leaning over that fuel tank was not conducive. Nah.
Okay.
Anyway, but seriously though, I was getting older, and you know, you things that you do will associate with the people that are around you. You know what I mean? And I'm not that young anymore. So typically you see a lot of younger, at least in America anyway, a lot of younger folks on sport bikes and things. And the natural progression, at least in my mind, in my opinion, was to, move my company, so to speak.
Okay. With that question out of the way, now this is a burning question that all of us Harley riders need to know.
All right.
Okay. Why Indian motorcycle?
Okay. So before I start, let me preface this with a Harley versus an Indian. In my eyes, a Harley is like your old school muscle car, right? And
Okay.
then Indian is more like your European Porsche Lambo type. So depending on what you like, because people are going to like what they like, that's what you go for.
Okay.
So when I was doing my initial research into motorcycles, I did a lot. Originally, I was going after a V-Rod back when they first came out. And then by the time I was able to buy the V-Rod, they were discontinued because I guess everybody hated liquid-cooled engines. Okay, whatever. So after that, I was looking at a Breakout. And when I was able to buy the Breakout, they changed the fuel tank from a 5-gallon to a 3-gallon. So that was out of the question because I'm not going anywhere, for 20-minute rides, So, and then when I got here is when I was able in that next phase of life to where I could get another motorcycle. And, I was doing my research, and when you ride the Harleys, it's and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's like going in a time machine because you can feel the age of the engine, the heritage of the engine, just from the way
unintended.
Right, just from the way it starts, and the shake of the engine. To me, it just feels real retro, more retro than what I was looking. And when I went and test drove Indian Motorcycle, there was no shaking. The lines were sleek, and you have the power, you have the tech, you have the ride. To me, Indian Motorcycle, just straight out of the factory, gives you a more complete bike as what you do with Harley Davidson. So a lot of people that I've talked to through my channel and whatnot, a lot of them say, well, you got to change your suspension, you got to change this, that, and the other. And you shouldn't have to immediately go after those things as soon as you pay $20,000-$30,000 for your bike. I mean, you should be able to ride on it if you want, and change what you want and not have to. Now, don't get me wrong. I've met some folks that say that, oh, well, the suspension's okay for me, but those are few, very few. Whereas when you look at Indian Motorcycle, I think it is a more complete package. I think that's the best way to say it. It's just a more complete package.
Right. And I would like to meet that guy that says the Harley Davidson suspension is fine.
You know him, actually.
Yeah,
you've met him before.
Oh, what is it? Q?
Nope.
No, I know Q on his Road Glide said that his suspension's fine. But all right,
it's Wood Jr. When you ask Wood Jr. about suspension, he will tell you that suspension is good to go. No, that's my dude, man. Wood Jr.'s cool.
Yeah, he's jacked up on Mountain Dew too much to even realize that the suspension's that terrible.
Yeah, man, he's an awesome personality. Awesome personality.
Yeah. I need to meet him. I haven't met him yet.
Oh, I thought you met him already.
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I think Riding and Wrenching said mine is good when you're saying suspension.
Yeah. But so actually, I did a video where I was comparing it. Well, I was giving my thoughts on the two bikes. I rode the Road Glide the same year as mine, same level as mine, and the suspension is absolutely. It was a 21. The suspension is absolutely way much stiffer than what it is on the Challenger. Now, depending on how you like to ride, that may be good for you, but I mean, it really, it was a huge difference.
Right.
It's wild.
Okay. And then we have Russell McDonald saying Harley Davidson forever. So.
Hey, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man. You do you. Oh, another thing, right? I hear a lot of people say something like their hips. People have hip issues where, the hips are sore and whatnot. But I think a lot of that is because the tank on the Harleys, when it comes down to you, it's really wide at the bottom. So when I was riding that Road Glide, it was very uncomfortable because my hips were so far apart, and it was just I couldn't be on there for too long. Whereas the Indian Motorcycles, they pinch much closer in at that part of the bike, so you're at a more natural seating.
Right. So. Yeah, I think some of that has to do with the seat too, because sometimes that seat comes out pretty wide, stretching your legs out. So before this next question, if everybody doesn't know, you're an Indian Motorcycle ambassador. Yep. So I have a quick video of when you got inducted to the Indian Ambassador Hall of Fame. So let's go ahead and roll that.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 2023 Indian Motorcycle Ambassador Draft Pick. And Indian Motorcycle, with their first pick, drafts Finesse the Challenger.
Man, that looked like an awesome ceremony that they had for you, just for getting you that.
No doubt. Hey, so I would be in trouble if I did not say that was Mrs. Finesse's idea. The whole, the draft setup and whatever. We were kind of fumbling through some ideas, but she come up with it, and that was her idea. However, I still produced it. But that was her idea. I have to give her.
Yeah, I watched that. I laughed at that, man. That was great. That was
awesome.
very well thought out. So, leading into the fourth question here. So, what was the process of becoming an Indian ambassador, and what exactly do you have to do, like your responsibilities for it?
All right. So for the Indian Ambassador Program, Indian Motorcycle Ambassador Program, I don't know if it's every single year, but if there's openings, they'll release a statement saying that entries are available to so that you can apply. So you would fill out the form, the application, and well, I'll take you through my story.
Right.
So I filled out this form, the application. I want to say I did it in November. And then I'm sitting there, looking at my emails, making sure I'm checking everything to see if, they're going to get back. Even though they said that they would release the results of the entries at a certain point. I can't remember what it was. But fast forward to a few months ago, when was January, February, March, maybe? January, February timeframe. Me and Mrs. Finesse are in the truck. We're going to Kroger or something, and I get a phone call. Well, I got a text message first asking, this is, said, this is Indian Motorcycle. Can I contact you about the ambassador program? And of course, I saw that. I had to pull over. I was like, heck yeah, you can call me right now. It was from Chelsea, she's recently switched positions. But they gave me the offer whether I wanted to do it. And she was saying a whole bunch of things of this, that, and the other. All I know is she asked me if I wanted to be an ambassador. And at that point, I shut everything down. I said, yes. And she was still talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I have no idea. But I get the contract and everything. But anyway, so the requirements for being an ambassador, basically you're promoting the brand, right? Now, right. For me, I'm not embellishing anything. If there's something wrong with the bikes, I say what's wrong with the bikes, but I try to do it in a constructive way. But you're promoting the brand. You are getting out there in the community. So I like to highlight businesses, not like not like franchise businesses, your mom and pops type style stuff.
Okay.
So I try to promote those businesses around town when I come across them, especially if it's something good. Put those on the channel. So you're just engaging with the community, and you're answering questions, this, that, and the other. Like I've been around a bunch of people that didn't even know that didn't know Indian Motorcycle. That didn't know Indian Motorcycle had a dealership here. And just spreading the word, making sure that people have options, man. And I would almost bet, if you ask 10 people, 8 of them would say that Indian Motorcycle is a better product. Not saying that they would buy it. I'm just saying what you get, you're going to get more for your money. Now, whether they buy it or not, that's a whole different thing, but I mean, if you're looking at it objectively, I just think a lot of people do that. Anyway, so I get sidetracked, but yeah, so, I do product reviews. Matter of fact, I got a video that I'm going to be working on here shortly, kind of detailing the advantages of being an Indian Motorcycle ambassador. Part of that is, you're getting some swag. Other parts of that is being invited to events and things of that nature. So it's been since I purchased my first Indian motorcycle. We've purchased 4 so far, and I've had a blast since day one.
Oh wow! So now when you fill that application out, so this is a stupid question, but I got to ask it. Do you have to own an Indian motorcycle to be an ambassador?
I don't know if you have to own one. I mean, I would assume so.
Right.
But so there are some affiliates with Indian Motorcycle that don't own an Indian motorcycle. So if you are like a social media influencer, like Instagram type,
Okay.
and you're like real good with pictures, like you could just be a photographer and you taking great pictures of Indian motorcycle, you could possibly have a chance of becoming an ambassador.
Okay. So I guess that wasn't a stupid question then.
It's a question that I don't know if I'm qualified to answer,
Right.
but because like the actual criteria for it, I don't know what that is.
Oh, wow. So they don't even disclose the criteria then.
Right. So I've had one of or a few folks come and say, they like the way the videos come out, with the what was it? I did the Jack Daniels event in Tennessee, and I did it like a dream sequence. So
Okay.
I got a lot of props on that one, but that was part of it. I would say if it's somebody that's looking to do this, I would say engage with your community. Document everything that you can, whether it's via Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and just try to make your mark and try and be unique.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now let's move into question 5. So you kind of answered this a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper. In your opinion, what makes Indian better than Harley Davidson? Tread lightly.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm just kidding.
So in my opinion, the community, so I think a lot of people have the misconception, if I buy this motorcycle, this particular brand of motorcycle, I'm in the group. All right. In some cases, maybe but that's not always the case, depending on what you're looking for. But the community, from my experience, embraced me, whether it was at the dealership, whether it was out around town, whatever the case may be, that embrace that, man, come talk to me, come hang out, let's do this, all that kind of stuff. Community. After that, it would be, like I said, the complete package. I really think Indian Motorcycle is just knocking it out the park. Because if you want a modern tech and sleek, they have it. If you want the old school, the retro, they also have that as well. So you have like the 116 engines in the Springfield Dark Horse, the Super Chief, the Sport Chief, that line. You have analog gauges. Some of the bikes at the trims have the halogen headlights. It's not all computerized, LCD, LED touchscreens and all that. But, in 2023, you can go to the Indian motorcycle dealership, and get a bike with all LED lights, right? As a base model. Yep. 2023, you go across the street and you got incandescent lights. It's boutique style. You got to pay for what you want.
Yeah. No. You know what kills me? Sorry to cut you off.
No, you good.
They'll put an LED headlight on all their new bike, but even at Tall's bagger show, they built a custom bike for that bagger show. LEDs everywhere, but the turn signal. They still didn't put LED turn signals in the bike.
Yeah, man, that to me is kind of wild. But I mean, I think at this point, because a lot of people say the customization, right?
Yep.
You can customize a Harley way more than you can customize an Indian motorcycle. Right. Okay, that is possible. I will agree to that. But I will tell you, in all of my dealings, I've never come across any Indian motorcycles that were the same. All of them have been different. I mean, unless they were like brand new. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking about going through some of my videos and looking at some of those bikes. I don't think I've ever come across one that was the same, like I said, unless it was brand new. So to say that customization is not out there is not true. I mean, you can look at Custom Dynamics right now. They just put out a light kit for the front end of the Chieftain, and there's seats, there's bars, there's engine modifications, there's tunes, there's all sorts of things that's available for Indian motorcycles. So while it's not as vast as Harley Davidson, there is still a catalog. So, and the way Indian Motorcycle engages with the community, especially with the ambassador program, I mean, it's like you're giving back. you're doing the community outreach. If I'm interviewing somebody and they say that, hey, this would be cool on the bike, and enough people say it, at least in my opinion, just like the headlight on the dark horses, which I have a video for, but they used to have this chrome back headlight, but now they have put this black bar in it so it looks dark for the dark horses. Little things like that where they're listening to the community. The same thing with the sport chief. They're listening to the community. They know what the motorcycle community wants, and they give it to you. And it's not like they give it to you where you have to buy it. No, they give it to you in a package where it's already set for you, and then you can modify it from there. So that's where I think Indian Motorcycle and Harley Davidson are really kind of divided.
That's fair. Harley Davidson does do kind of similar what Indian does. They reach out to the communities and stuff, but I don't. I do, however, think that they don't listen as much, because if they listen, we have damn LEDs in the turn signals by now.
Well, hey, those leaked photos, man, looks like there's a whole bunch of LEDs on there. I don't know if that's going to be a real deal, but hey.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at I briefly looked at those, but I don't know. We'll see what they have in the future. With it being their 120th anniversary, who knows what they got in store, and we won't know until the summer.
Okay, so 120th. I mean, you brought it up. I just want you to know you brought it up.
Right. Here we go.
120th anniversary, $60,000 for the Road Glide. What is it? A special or a something?
Road Glide 3
limited? No, the touring with the
the anniversary one.
Yeah. So they did all this, and all they did was change the paint. I mean, like I was watching this reveal. I'm interested in motorcycles. I was watching it. And when they revealed it, I was like, I mean, that's it.
I think they put the bigger engine in it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's a 117, right?
I think it's the 130 something.
No, it's a 117.
You sure? Okay.
Pretty positive. Well, Robert Simmons could comment on it. He actually tested it. He said a CVO limited, but I'm pretty positive it's a 117. So
okay, it's possible. Yeah. I don't pay attention to Road Glides because they're not my cup of tea.
Not your jam.
Yeah.
Fixed fairing is where it's at, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Cannon says 117. Thanks for joining in and commenting there. And Robert said, come on, Joe. 117. Sorry, Robert. I don't pay attention to Road Glides. I don't care about Road Glides. That's a whole story for another day.
Yeah.
But I will say I did test ride the Challenger at Daytona Bike Week.
Okay.
And first thoughts, radio sucked. We already talked about this a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
Radio sucked.
Standard radio.
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, typically Harley standard radio. I haven't had a different radio on a Harley since 2017, so that's the only stock radio I know. That one sucked. But when I twisted that throttle, man, I had to hold on for dear life because I thought I was going to fall off. The amount of power and torque that thing had, that definitely did impress me.
Yeah,
so I'll give it that, and the technology.
Yeah, for sure. So and I know a lot of people, the easiest thing to do is to say the horsepower, this, that, and the other. But for me, the ride, man, that ride is so smooth. And when I had my Challenger, I thought it was smooth. But once I got my Pursuit, I have a 23 Pursuit Dark Horse Premium. That, man, beautiful. That's a piece of art, man. That's a beautiful bike. Smooth, real smooth.
Robert said, CVOs deserve your attention, Joe. I mean, it's still a Road Glide. You can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. All right. On that note, we'll go ahead and move into question 6. So I got something flying around in here.
It happens, man.
If you could change one thing about Indian motorcycles, what would it be?
Ooh, change one thing about Indian motorcycle. I would probably add the Power Plus engine. That's the one that's in the Challenger, the 108, the cubic inch. I would probably put that in the Springfield Dark Horse and give people more color options for that specific bike.
Now, which bike is it? Is that a just like a smaller bike, non-touring?
No, it's a touring bike. It's close to the Road King, maybe. Is that what that
Okay.
is?
So
There's
no fairing?
right, no fairing, no
Okay.
windshield.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So it looks similar to that, but beautiful bike. I almost bought it. I've ridden it a couple of times, convincing myself that I shouldn't buy it. But I love that platform. I like the look of it. But it's essentially the Chieftain without the front fairing.
Okay.
So I think what would elevate that bike more would be the Power Plus in that bike, and you would definitely need a windshield with 122.
Yeah. I mean that thing would move because that thing's probably a lot lighter than the Chieftain and
yes, I think it's around
Challenger.
700-800 pounds.
Yeah, it'd be pretty light.
Yeah.
So we got some people chiming in on that. Alfonso Dennis says the community need to tell Indian take the tow bar off the back of the tour pack.
So there's a bar that runs from underneath and it comes up and around. So I don't know if that's a tow bar, but I will say it makes it easy because the tour pack that comes on the Indian Pursuit, the Challenger, and the Chieftains, they're all quick release, straight from the factory, right?
Yeah.
So
nice.
when you're taking that off, that's good to grip onto to get it, to manipulate it. So okay. I would assume that's what it's for. I don't know for a fact, but that's what I use it for.
Okay. Cannon says more dealers. They're few and far between. They're around. I mean, they're not.
So I think it really depends on where you live, right? Because there was another YouTuber that did a video on it as far as the dealerships, and the dealerships compared to Harley dealerships it's pretty comparable. Really? But they targeted their dealerships around the interstate routes. So along I-10, along I-20, they strategically placed them to where, if you're near a major highway, say like you're traveling and you need to get to an Indian dealership, along those highways, you're going to pass a few. So it depends on, I agree. Hey, don't get me wrong. Hey, give me some more dealerships. Right. Yeah. That means I can get more t-shirts and stuff. But I think part of their business plan was to make sure that they were along those interstates. And I think if you look along the interstates and see what dealerships are available, you'll see quite a few. Now, once you get into the middle areas of the U.S.,
Yeah. Okay. And then Riding and Wrenching says more aftermarket support, which I feel like it's growing. It's been growing quite a bit in the past couple of years because now I see a lot of companies making stuff for Indian.
Yep. Custom Dynamics, Saddleman, you got Tab Performance for sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's some of the best exhaust I've had. And then you got Dean Speed, you got Freedom Performance. There's a lot. It just what I was telling one of the guys before, it just really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a specific bolt somewhere that you want in titanium, you're probably not going to find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's something that's common, handlebars, seats, rims, performance upgrades, those kinds of things, there's plenty of aftermarket.
Right. And then Russell McDonald, I can kind of vouch for this. There's not very many dealers in Ohio. There's one, I think about an hour away from me.
Yeah.
Kind of up north, but there isn't much.
Hey, so this workman experienced the dealership in Austin. He said it looks like a boutique. So that dealership used to be a computer science tech store, some techie thing. The dealership looks like a art gallery. Okay. It's like a two-tier split level. Really amazing looking dealership. We went there when I was in Austin testing the Sport Chief with the rest of the ambassadors.
Okay, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful dealership. The video didn't do it justice.
Right. Yeah. So question number 7. I have another video for this. So before we get into it, I'll just go ahead and show it. Okay.
All right.
Keep it loaded, see? Trust and believe! So this guy's in here drifting. As nice as that looked, that's because he had no preload. The bike was just falling. Yeah, he parked after that. He was like, screw that. He got to change his underwear.
So our friend Robert Simmons always has the greatest commentary after something happens. So,
yeah. Hey, he gets amped up, man.
Yeah. So question number 7. What exactly happened in your Tokyo Drift moment at Robert Simmons' practice session?
All right. So first and foremost, I did not panic. All right. When you get everything off the table, I did not panic. Right. So I've been, I'm not sure how long I had the bike in that video, but I'm always trying to get better with the slow speed maneuvers. I'm taking more chances, taking more, risk. I mean, you're in that controlled environment. By control, it's just an empty parking lot.
Right.
Not to say that things can't happen. Things can happen. But anyway, we're in the parking lot, and I'm either trying to take a turn slow, or I'm trying to lean more, or I'm trying to do an exercise that I had not previously done. And in that instant, I was like, oh, I got this. And I'm going around, and I was like, it's the first part of the snowman, and I'm like, yeah, this is just the first part. I'm not too worried about it. And I get into a spot where I'm leaning the bike over, and it's just too much. And for an instant, I let off the preload a little bit, and you could hear the engine almost die, right? And then I felt that it was coming over, and I actually did have the floorboard on the ground at that time, but I didn't want to put my foot down, so I yanked on the throttle and released the clutch, and let the music play. You know what I'm saying? and just like Robert says, man, if there's power, the bike wants to stand up, and that's exactly what she did.
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of times where I swear the bike was already fallen over, like completely fallen over, and I've cracked that throttle and it stands back up, and it's like a magic trick. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
But you did handle that pretty well, and it's good to be doing that in the parking lot. I mean, I couldn't tell you, if you go back and watch Robert's practice sessions, I've dropped my bike numerous times, but never on the road, because we're practicing out there trying to get proficient at it,
Yep. So when I had my Challenger, I was doing a U-turn at a gas station. I was pulling off to the side waiting on the guys I was riding with. And I go to make this U-turn, and I dropped the bike. I didn't have any preload, and I didn't let the clutch out. So bike went down. And outside of the parking lot, thus far, knock on wood, that is the only place that I've put my bike down. But I feel more confident when I'm doing things. Just as a for instance, me and Mrs. Finesse went to the grocery store, which is not too far from the house, and we're coming back, and we're getting on the bike, and I'm telling myself I'm gonna go out straight and just take a right and go that, and go like along the parking. But before I knew it, I had my head turned left, and we were doing a U-turn, and this is the first time I've done a U-turn with her on the back. So. And it's wild because it didn't feel any different than me doing it by myself. Right. But like you're saying, practicing and doing those things in a controlled environment definitely help you out when you're out on the road. Because I wasn't even necessarily thinking about it. Like I said, I was thinking I was going to go the other way. But next thing I know, I'm busting a U-turn with my wife on the back, and everything was good.
Yeah, and it definitely makes you feel good doing that. And people notice. I mean, they see that, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
to be able to do.
I've been practicing in parking lots, and people just come up in their cars and just sit there and watch me.
Yeah,
like, cool. I'm just doing U-turns and maybe a couple of figure eights, and it's like magic. It's just the craziest thing.
Yeah. So Robert says the stain in your underwear says otherwise.
Hey, if he looked at my underwear, then we got to talk about something else.
Russell McDonald, the BS air chair stained the boxers on that.
Oh, that's funny.
We have riding and wrenching heckling once again. Our resident heckler. Hey, has Joe dropped anyone else's bike? I I might have dropped Q's bike trying to load it onto his trailer.
Oh, wait a minute. You're trying to help him do something that he couldn't do?
Yeah, because he dropped his bike on his foot.
Oh, okay.
So his foot was sore, and he asked me to try to get up the ramp.
You just trying to help a friend out. Look at what he's doing, man.
That may or may not have been on purpose. I don't know.
Right. You just tell him Chuck did it.
Then Alfonso Dennis says, "I will not knock Indian motorcycle, but I really like my HD."
Hey, and yes, man. Look, the way I see it, if we've got competition between two different brands, everybody wins. Consumers win because you're going to get more things, more parts. But what I tell people is that you have to go out there and look at those other bikes so that you know what you want or don't. You know what I mean? Because if you've never been on a Challenger, or a Pursuit and had a big bike with all that power, straight stock, then how are you going to be like, well, hey, Harley, what's the deal? Why can't we get this? So and that's a big for instance, but just things like that help the community, help us along as well.
Oh, you're back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I was done.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's good. It's good for us. Good competition between the two brands.
Okay, yeah. And then again, like I feel like if you're not an a-hole like some people, but if you're in the motorcycle community, most of us don't even care what you ride as long as you're riding,
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't have brought you on here if I absolutely hated Indians and didn't want anything but Harley riders on here. I mean,
right.
2 wheels is 2 wheels.
For sure, man. And,
ride what you want.
That goes with the Honda family, but the Honda couple that you had on here.
Boots and jeans riders.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, it's everything. It's everybody.
Right. And you can't limit yourself to one brand. You got, as you said, you got to experience all different bikes because you never know what you're going to end up liking. So
right.
I want to bring this up because Don on the Run says, I want to improve my skills, but I've got an adventure bike. Done. It doesn't matter what you ride. Everything that Robert teaches applies to all motorcycles. Go over to his channel. He actually bought it was a crotch rocket sport bike just to show that you can do it on any type of motorcycle. Andy has a
KTM
adventure bike. Yeah, KTM. So
and he's also I want to say there's a gentleman that was at the practice session this past weekend that has the Pan America that was out there.
Oh man,
yeah,
I'd like to try one of those, but that's for a different conversation here.
Yeah, it's a weird looking bike, man.
Then Miss Finesse, love the confidence boost that comes after a practice session. Of course.
Yo, I said this in one of my videos, and matter of fact, she doesn't know this, but I was today looking at her video when she first practiced on her Super Chief that she had, and you look at what she was doing then to now, and you think it would be a whole nother person on that bike.
Yeah. Just one practice session can really turn thing around. All right. So now let's move on to question number 8. What is your favorite part about riding a motorcycle?
My favorite part about riding a motorcycle is just the feeling of, you get the wind in your face, and just doing something that most people don't do. The majority of people will be in cars. So whenever I'm riding or I'm driving, I like to have fun. It's a stress relief. It's all about just having a good time. I don't get in a car and just, okay, I'm going to A to B. I'm doing stuff,
right.
Especially on the bike. So when I'm on the bike and I'm going somewhere, I typically try to practice something. Slow ride. I try to do the slow race to stoplights. I'm doing, figure eights or U-turns, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's fun. It's just so much fun to me to be on the bike. And a lot of that is because I know how to ride them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. And then modding in the bike. So when I put on a mod, I like to ride and see how whatever I did, how it affects the bike, whether that's a tune, exhaust, whatever the case may be. Man, love it. But it's stress relief and fun.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'd say my favorite part is like when you ride your bike to work. I know you're retired, so you don't know this, but when you have to go to work,
Yeah.
you take the bike, and I mean it could be a crappy day, and then you got to look forward to just riding home. And if your day was that bad, you take the long way home. I mean,
Yes.
I almost enjoy riding more by myself than I do with other people, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that. And as a retired person, we do have bad days every now and again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean as far as taking the long way home. But what was the last thing you said? You said, riding in groups.
Yeah.
So I normally don't like riding in groups. However, if I have the chance to do the route ahead of time, and if anybody's nervous about riding in a group, I would suggest this straight up, right? So if you ever go to a group, ask if you can get the route, right? Take the route by yourself, right? Do that. That way you get kind of familiar with the area. You get familiar with the turns, if there's any potholes or anything like that, right? So when you're in the group, it's going to relieve a lot of the stress of riding with the group because you're around a bunch of people that you don't know how they're going to react to a certain situation. So if you've taken that route, and you know that, hey, there's a huge pothole coming up, you can, one, be aware of it, but two, you're going to let everybody else know behind you what's coming up as well. And you don't have to rely on those hand signals as much. So for me, that's what I do to relieve that stress with riding with other groups. I go out ahead of time, do the route myself, and see if there's any turns that like go back on themselves, those kinds of things. Just it's a extra layer of awareness.
Yeah, I would even say if you start feeling uncomfortable, just let them go ahead of you. I mean, that's if you ever feel like you're in danger, there's no sense of trying to ride with them, try and keep up especially if they're riding like crazy, because we know how some people get when they're around other people trying to show off. So
for sure, man. So when I was active duty, we would go out as a shop and ride the mountain. We were in Japan, so we'd go and ride the mountain, and we would tell everybody before we start every time, ride your ride. If we're going too fast, or if we're doing something that you're not comfortable with, then don't do it. Pull back and do what you're comfortable with. And I would give that advice to anyone.
Yeah, no doubt. Russell McDonald said, VA retired since 2011. Retirement is boring.
Heck no, man. Hey, I've been retired since 2016, and I've been busy the entire time. So I would tell Russell, I don't know if you've already got your degree or whatever the case may be, but if you're that bored, man, go take a class.
Right. My dad said, make the rules before you ride. It's fair enough. If it's your ride. I mean,
hey, even if it isn't your ride, I'll tell people in a heartbeat, hey, man, if you're doing that, I'm dropping back.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. You definitely, that's why ride your ride, man. Ride your ride. Anything beyond that, just let it go, man. Nobody is out here wearing capes. Right. We're out here to have fun and ride around with our friends. So ride your ride.
Yep. Lee Sturgis says, plan the ride the plane. Russell said, wow, Air Force has motorcycles for them to ride. WTF.
No, they were our motorcycle.
That's funny.
You know what? The crazy thing, right? I was in the Air Force, but I do not like flying. I hate flying.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. I used to tell everybody I'm not a pilot, so yeah.
What exactly did you do in the Air Force?
Logistics and transportation.
Oh shoot, yeah, I'm a supply sergeant in the Army.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we worked with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So now we'll roll into the ninth question here. I thought we were on the last question, but we're not. Question number 9. What made you start your YouTube channel?
Okay, so again, it's crazy how all this stuff rotates around my motorcycle. Well, I mean, it's motorcycle anyway. But when I was researching my motorcycle or researching motorcycles in general. When I got on the YouTube, you could find, I mean, you could just type H and Harley Davidson, something's coming up, right? Somebody owns something Harley Davidson. And I think a lot of the information on there, at least the information that I found at that time, was kind of, it was skewed, right? Because people would say that, you know, this is the first motorcycle or the oldest motorcycle or, you know, this, that, and the other. When in fact, you know, a lot of, we're going back in a little history here, going back in World War I, World War II, Indian Motorcycle and Harley Davidson supplied bikes for the troops. And Indian Motorcycle completely shut down their civilian production to provide solely for the military. Whereas Harley Davidson, they did both, which, you know, was smart. And, you know, and then, you know, everybody has the history of, you know, Indian Motorcycle was shut down, then it come up, then shut down, come up. So there's a lot of stuff that I was learning throughout that time. But the biggest thing when I was on YouTube researching the bikes, I couldn't find anybody that had a perspective from an owner standpoint on the type of bike that I was looking at. Mm. And it just took a lot of me doing my own, well, research anyways, but it took a lot of, it made it more difficult doing the research on the bike. And I had to actually go out there and physically do it myself without, I guess, a general knowledge. Mm. Whereas with the Harley Davidsons, I could get a general knowledge. And, you know, everybody had all these opinions and everything else, but it was just hard finding Indian motorcycle information. So when I created my channel, I wanted to make sure that I was giving people another option, you know, give them something else to look at, you know, challenge their ideas, you know, Finesse the Challenger. It just so happened that Indian Motorcycle makes a Challenger, but, you know, to challenge their ideas and perceptions of what an American V-twin is. And I wanted to make sure that I was bringing that to light. And that all led to the ambassadorship program. It led to, you know, the channel and the success that it's had so far. But just as a shameless plug, man, I've loved every moment of it. The fans are where it's at, man. All the subscribers, you know, I appreciate everything that those guys have done as far as watching the videos, chatting in the comments and stuff, man. Like I said, it's been great. It's been an amazing time.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. That I've met, or I became friends with so many people because of YouTube. People that I've met and people that I haven't met yet, and it's an absolute blast. That's what it's all about, man. It's the community. Hey, and we got Boots and Jeans Riders. We were talking about you earlier. Go back and watch.
Yeah, Boots and Jeans.
And then we, of course, have Riding and Wrenching Heckling again. What was it like waking up at 10 a.m. in the Air Force?
I don't know, man. I was in formation at 6:45.
Oh my gosh!
So I was in a combat mobility unit. So we operated a little bit differently.
Okay, yeah. Right now I am in 12 Bravo unit, combat engineers. Oh, so it's definitely a different change of pace, I would say.
Yeah. So it'll wake you up. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So now a question that I always ask everybody that comes onto the show. Tell us the worst experience you've ever had on a motorcycle.
Worst experience I've ever had on a motorcycle. I was in Japan in 2003. I just got my Gixxer 750 and I was learning how to operate the bike. And I'm leaving work one day and I'm waiting to turn right. I got my turn signal on. There's a car approaching from the opposite side, right? So I'm waiting for this person to go and they don't go. They're just kind of like looking at me and we're just like, you know, deer in headlights at each other. We're staring at each other, so, you know. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess that person doesn't want to go. So I decided to go. And then we decided that at the same time, apparently. I guess it was transmitted through our eyes. I don't know. So I grabbed the brakes. I dropped the bike. I'm in uniform. So my top on the shoulder gets ripped open. My pants get ripped. So I picked the bike back up and I head home. And I got home before Mrs. Finesse did. So I changed out of my uniform. I put it away, and I never told her about it.
Oh man!
Until some years later. She knows about it now, but until some
wow.
years later. But as far as the worst experience, I think that was probably it. Me dropping the bike out on the street, mostly because I didn't know what I was doing on the bike. I was just learning it.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's probably it. I don't.
How did you get away with without Miss Finesse finding out?
I've been trained by the government in ways that I cannot speak of. So no, I like I said, I got home before she did, and I just I tried to hide it as much as I could.
What are you talking about, babe? That scratch has been there.
Yeah,
I got it like that.
No, I was doing a turn, and I got so low it scraped on the fairing. That's what that was.
Yeah. Now, another question. So you're in Japan. So there's that rumor that goes around. Are Japanese people really that bad of drivers? Or are they pretty decent?
I would not know, because I rode my bike off base for 99% of the time that I was there.
Okay.
And if I was in a car, I was on base. And typically we're the worst drivers because we're not used to driving on that side of the road.
Right. Yeah.
So there was a few times where I take a turn and I'm looking at another car and I'm like, oh, my bad, But I will say the Japanese people, I was in Kadena. The Japanese people, man, fantastic. They're like some of the coolest, like laid back, chill. I mean, it was great. But I was deployed like 300 days out of the year while I was stationed there. So
wow.
I didn't really get to drive around too much.
Okay. Riding and Wrenching says they probably drive better than people in Memphis and Florida at that. Jeez.
Oh man, look. So Florida. Now, look, man, the way I was taught when driving, right? So if you're on the right-hand lane, that means you are, it's Sunday, you're chilling, you're not really worried about doing, maybe a few miles under the speed limit. The middle lane, you are doing the speed limit, maybe a little bit more. But look, if you get in the left lane, you're ready to go to jail. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not the case in Florida.
No, every lane you're ready to go to jail.
Well, no, I mean, my experience is everybody's going slow, man, and people are creeping. Man. I'm just like, what is going on? Let me get over, please. But yeah, that's funny. It's funny how people drive, because I've drove in New York before.
Oh no,
hey, that's an experiance. You need a badge after that.
If I'm traveling somewhere, I got to go through New York. I'll go around. I'll take a whole loop around it. I want nothing.
You be in Canada then.
Yeah. Russell McDonald said Florida drivers are crazy. Orlando drivers are crazy AF.
Yeah. It's and I think a lot of it is tourism. You get a lot of tourism.
That is possible, yeah.
And I tell people here, people that are in Savannah, they're used to seeing motorcycles on the road. So looking for a motorcycle is commonplace. Whereas since it's on I-95 and you got all these people going in and through Florida and New York, there's a lot of tourists, man. They're not looking for you, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, man. So, we're gonna end up wrapping this up, but before we go ahead and tell everybody all your social medias, where they can find you, how to hit you up and whatnot.
All right. So first off, I really want to thank Joe Go for having me on here. It was a blast. I really appreciate it. Allowing me to interact with your community, as well as some of my community that's on here. This thing that you're doing here, man, with these interviews, fantastic, man. I love watching your stuff, man. Just do good work. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can hit me up at Finesse the Challenger. No crazy spellings. It's just straight out Finesse the Challenger. It's the same thing on Instagram as well as Facebook. I'm hardly on Facebook, but I'm in there. I post some stuff in there as well. And if you have an Indian motorcycle or a Victory or anything like that, and you want to be featured on my channel, just send an email to finessethechallenger@yahoo.com. So basically, if you want to find me, Finesse the Challenger is how to do it.
Too easy, man. Too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, make sure you guys go and check out his channel. And this channel is great. I enjoy watching it, and I want to thank you for all the kind words and coming on, man. Because the show's nothing if I don't get any guests. Because nobody wants to sit here and just listen to me talk. So,
I appreciate it, man.
so, all right, guys, we are going to end it here. Again, if you want to join the Facebook group, go ahead and join it. And I'm working on getting some more guests for the show. So I have a pretty good one in mind, but we'll see if everything works out. And if you guys know anybody that wants to come on here, go ahead and hit me up. Leave a comment down in the replay of this, and I'll look it over. And I'm always looking for good guests to come on. They don't even have to be a YouTuber or anything like that. They can just be motorcycle related. So. Well, that's going to be it, guys. As always, this is Joe Go with Joe Go Motorcycle Adventures. Until next time, ride on.